Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's Osama and Dahud here, 4040 Vision Pod, back again. Took the 3 day weekend off for President's Day, so very excited to be back with a new episode. We do these 4040 Vision episodes every Monday. We do 4040 Vision shorts. We try to do them on like Thursdays, so we hope you like those as well. Um, Please subscribe podcasts wherever you get at those at like Overcast, Apple, Spotify, etc. I got my buddy Khaled Abdallah here. How's it going?
It's going good, man.
I can tell the cold's getting to you. What I wanted to talk about is the All Star game. Every year there's a different reaction depending on really how it plays out, right? Like if the dunk contest is good, the dunk contest is back. If the Elam ending works, wow, what an exciting format! Like that was really, really engaging, and it's so cool to see the players trying again. Surprise, surprise, mixed reactions to the weekend as a whole. The players feel less incentivized to do it again. The level of effort is looks as decreased as it's ever been. So what I want to do today is kind of walk through positives and negatives in general for All Star Weekend, and maybe conclude with some sort of proposition on how to fix it. Wanted to ask you, did you watch All Star Weekend? What did you think?
I did. I actually watched every single event, so including the celebrity game on Friday night, the Rising Stars game or games, because there was a few of those. Just about everything on Saturday, which is usually the highlight, anyways. You know, the dunk contest and the 3 pointer and all 3 point contest and all that. Um, I did watch most of the All Star game, though I was very disinterested by the end, considering how much of a blowout it was. But the halftime show was great. I really enjoyed that. But I enjoyed just about all of it. I know there were some mixed reviews, but I think what I enjoyed most was the dunk contest. This year was incredible, and I actually had a great time watching the celebrity game, which was surprising to me.
Is what makes All Star Weekend really unique, right? You look at so many other sports across the world, and how many of them have a bunch of celebrities playing the sport for fun, for charity, or whatever the case may be. It's you don't see like I don't know, Rafael Nadal running around playing soccer against Shah Rukh Khan, right? You don't see that.
Maybe they should. That'd be cool.
You
Or
have
we could see like I don't know, Leo DiCaprio playing quarterback at the Pro Bowl or something. They could do a flag. Somebody did actually. So Kenny King, a buddy of mine who has been on this podcast before, a great guy, great content creator. Go check out his work at Kenny King Jr. on Twitter. He proposed that the Pro Bowl, instead of doing flag football with all NFL players, they should do mixed games with celebrities to kind of mix things up and make it a little more exciting. So maybe one day we'll see that in the future.
Yeah, I mean that sure for the NFL we can throw that their way. Understood that that is its own problem, right? For the NBA, I mean they've tried different things. I read Rohad Nadkarni's piece in Sports Illustrated after the game, and he said, he was just longing for the days where it was East versus West, and you had like continuity between conferences, and you had frenemies like, ooh, Westbrook and Durant are on the same team now after Durant left OKC, and you'd always have those like preview matchups of guys that are going to see each other in the finals. But now they're all playing together, and it's a bit more chummy than it was in years past. And I know that they've tried the ELM ending, which has been really exciting, and now they're doing the draft. And I think the draft has been a success. It's gotten better every year, right?
Yeah, totally. And the thing is with the draft and the All Star game, it's kind of emblematic of I think most people's issues with the NBA these days, right? Is that the off the court stuff is far more interesting than, at least for most people, the on the court stuff, right? So the whole lead up to the All Star game is talking about, oh, who's going to get picked last, or is Giannis going to pick, or sorry, is LeBron going to pick Kyrie, or who's the, is Giannis going to pick his buddy Drew Holiday, or whatever it was. It was not about the game whatsoever. It's all about the drama. And it's similar to the NBA in real life where everyone's talking about who's going to get traded where and who's going to be unhappy and ask for a trade here or there. And not as many people actually watch the regular season games. So it's, like I said, emblematic of the entire NBA.
Yeah, I agree. Soccer has this issue too, where like the transfer market is such a big deal, but they do get a lot more engagement. To be fair, the problem with the NBA is the coverage itself is more about the gossip than the actual basketball sometimes. Um, yeah, I agree. I think the draft this year was really cool. I liked the whole playground thing. I didn't think it was as overproduced as some others thought. Like you need Ernie Johnson up there to kind of produce it and hold everything together. And it was the first time they did it, right? So it's going to take a little bit longer than it should have. But the reactions I thought were great. Jokic not knowing Laurie Markkinen was still up there and just walking away was hilarious. Like they should bring, if they decide to keep doing this, they should absolutely keep doing it that way. Just make it a little shorter because it took like 20 minutes. But overall, just really like great television.
The draft in general, I mean, I like the playground style they did, where they did it the day of, which was cool. But even before, when it was just, LeBron and KD on a Zoom call, essentially with TNT, that was great content. You had like whatever year it was that James Harden got traded, like 2 weeks later, KD's like, cracking jokes about it during the draft. So it makes for some like fun, gossipy content. But I do prefer the in person one. That was hilarious too. Like you said, Jokic, where with all that and just the drama. Not even really drama, because it ultimately doesn't matter. But just getting to see who got picked last or who got picked first and all that. And we got to see LeBron fanboy over Kyrie, which is kind of embarrassing for him. But in general, it was a good time.
Before I comment on that, I'll never forget uh, because James Harden, I think, was traded that day or the day before for Ben Simmons, and KD and LeBron had like a game of chicken as to who was going to take James Harden, and he went last. I think Rudy Gobert went to Kevin Durant's team in spite of James Harden.
Yeah, KD was like, "I'm gonna take Rudy for rim protection" or something like that, and he kind of like laughed and like hit his face behind a
Um,
clipboard or something.
yeah,
So
yeah, they were hiding their faces behind. It was great.
yeah, incredible content, but it had no impact on what happened on the floor. Let's say
Yeah,
that.
so let's go through All Star Weekend. I'm fine with like the celebrity game. It's cool. I'm sure it doesn't get a lot of view ratings. I'm not a ratings guy necessarily. I don't look at that too closely, although it does hold some weight, obviously. I think that the Rising Stars is cool, a cool concept. You get to see how much the game has grown, and you get to see talent from around the world with the talent. That's fine too. There's a lot of young guys in there, and that's exciting. I want to talk about the skills challenge. I have a problem with the skills challenge. Used to see really interesting groups of guys, whether they were usually on the same team, but you'd see a good mix of guys in the skills challenge. The last couple of years, we've had the Antetokounmpo brothers as a trio, and two of those guys don't really play that much versus, the two-time MVP, NBA champion. There's Giannis, Thanasis, and I don't know the other guy's name. We'll call him Orgasmus. I don't know. But he's
Costas.
sure, sure. So they're playing, and I don't really associate skills with the other two brothers. They don't even play. So like if this is a skills competition, like let's take this seriously. I'm gonna get on a soapbox for a second here and put in guys with actual skills. Let's see, a Kyrie Irving esque with incredible handle. Let's see guys that could actually shoot a basketball from behind the 3 point line 35% and above. You know what I mean? Am I crazy here, or does this need some actual skills displayed?
No, you're not crazy at all. But am I crazy in remembering that this used to be an individual event?
Yeah, it did.
Because I feel like, yeah, okay, 'cause that's what I remember. I mean, it used to be some of the best players in the league. There was a screenshot somebody posted the other day. It was LeBron, Kobe, D Rose, and one other, maybe Chris Paul. This was like obviously in the early 2000s when LeBron was still on the Cavs, and his first tenure with the Cavs, and it was those guys going up against each other in the skills challenge. Now that's something I want to see. I don't like, just like you. I don't care about the Antetokounmpo brothers. It's a great story, all that, but one guy's in the G League, for Christ's sake. Like I mean, we could talk about the G League and guys coming up from the G League to participate in All Star Weekend. When we get to the dunk contest, but the concept, I don't think it should be a team event. First of all, I don't think it should be 3-on-3 or whatever. And I think if possible, you want to try to get the best players possible. I don't care to see some of these rookies. I didn't care to see Walker Kessler and Jordan Clarkson out there too. I thought that was all kind of pointless. So I'm with you 100%.
Let's put a pin in this one. I don't really know where to go with it. It's fine. Maybe they should just do one on one if they decide to keep it. Or in my eventual long term proposition of this All Star weekend thing, maybe they keep it. I don't know. It's fine. So let's move over to the 3-point contest. I don't actually have a lot of criticism for the 3-point contest. It's a good exhibition of stamina, rhythm, shooting. Some guys aren't great shooters and join it anyway, but they've had some pretty damn good shooters in it. We've seen the best shooters win it, right? I think that that's fine. I think that that's been pretty justified. Dame Lillard, Buddy Hield is one of those guys that gets hot. We've seen in the past, like Larry Bird win it. You've seen shooters like Craig Hodges. I think it's fine. I don't have a problem with the 3-point contest. Do you?
I have one problem, and that's that special. Was it like a 4-point ball or something?
The Sprite or the Mountain Dew line.
Yeah, or whatever it is. I don't think that's necessary. Like, what's the point? But it's there's nothing wrong with the 3-point contest. I can't think of any way to improve it except for actually maybe getting better shooters. Like, there's no reason Julius Randle, like, all due respect to Julius Randle, he's shooting like 33% from three. I know he was an injury call up, but I was curious. I was like, let me see who the top 10 shooters are in the NBA by 3-point percentage, and I think 4 of them were in the contest out of the top 10. And there's guys like Brogdon, who's in the top 10, Watanabe from Brooklyn, who I guess doesn't shoot enough to qualify on the stats, but maybe just make sure that the best shooters are there, because we don't want to see Julius Randle score 13, or Kevin Huerter, I think, had 8. Maybe that's just nerves for him, but I want to see the best shooters shoot.
Evan Fournier did an amazing tweet where he said they should have given my guy Julius Randle more time so he could jab step first before taking the three. He'd have made more of them.
Yeah, but like him and Carmelo doing like the New York jab step 3 times and then pulling up. Yeah, maybe that would have worked out.
Given him like 3 minutes, yeah, so he could jab step each shot.
What I do really like about it is like really focusing on the guys' forms, and you can see how different it is. I'm sure all the shooting coaches try to tell you, like, there's a specific way to shoot and you want to hold the ball and do the gooseneck and all that stuff. But some guys like Tyrese Halliburton, he has that really weird shooting motion, which is like completely unorthodox, and he killed it in the first round. So I love that kind of stuff. And they get, especially when like the announcers like Kenny and Reggie get a little technical about it and talk about their shooting motion and all that. So I do really appreciate that part of it.
It's great, yeah. And you can kind of tell when a guy's really feeling it. You see the elbow lined up real straight with the rim. As soon as it leaves their hands, you're like, oh, that's another one. Bucket, bucket, bucket. Before I forget,
and it builds
sorry,
up to a crescendo, right? It, like, especially like if a guy is on the bubble or he's catching up, and there's the anticipation of like, oh, is he gonna get he's gonna get 30, he's gonna get 27, whatever it is. So yeah, I like that part a lot too.
Agreed. Yeah, and we've seen plenty of those exciting finishes. Before I forget, Draymond Green was a tremendous addition to this, by the way.
I mean, we all know he's got the biggest mouth in the league, so he has a future. He could probably coach if he wanted to, but I think it's a lot easier to be an announcer. And I think as soon, like the day he retires, he's just gonna, walk over to the announcer's booth and just put a suit on and do his thing. He's great.
It's way easier to be Barkley than it is to be, Kevin Harlan, probably.
Exactly. Yeah. Just give your opinion. Before we move on from the 3-point contest, my brother, and I've seen a lot of people talk about this, but they suggest that the 3-point contest should be the main event of All-Star Weekend. So that should be the capper at the end of the night on Saturday. What do you think?
I think I understand that, but I think that the dunk contest has been, the premier main event for Saturday night, and I think everyone's just holding out hope that it's going to deliver, and that's why it's last. Because there is one thing about the 3-point contest where, like you said, there's some guys that aren't great shooters. You're like, okay, let's move on. Let's get this guy's turn over with. He's only got 4 made shots, and he's on like the baseline, the left baseline or the right baseline. I've had enough of watching this guy shoot. Might be the only thing that could kind of slow things down in a main event where a really good dunk contest is like, oh my god, and that's the last thing you remember. You're like, man, what a 2 3 5, like Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine. We'll get to that in a second, but like that being the main event just has more punch, I think, than a 3 point contest would. That's the only reason why, in my opinion.
That's fair. I get it. I get it. It's always more exciting. I mean, a three is more of the typical play in the NBA these days, but a really crazy dunk is still the most exciting thing that you'll see on a court. Just because anybody can shoot a three, right? Anybody off the street, if they work, practice enough, they can hit threes at a decent clip. But you and me and 90% of America, no matter how hard we try, we'll never be able to dunk a basketball, much less jump 50 inches in the air and do over our heads or behind our heads and 360s and all that. So yeah.
Speaking of which, so with the dunk contest, let's move on to that. 3 point contest should stay. Let's make that clear. It's great. There's nothing too much wrong with it. The dunk contest has been incredibly volatile, right? In terms of quality, we've seen some pretty big dips. And like here's the main problem. The main problem is the stars aren't joining anymore. There's some solid dunkers joining, like Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine. They're not like the 10, 20 best players in the league, but they can really fly. All right. But there aren't guys like that, and the stars are not joining anymore. A G Leaguer won this year. Okay. The guy has played 2 NBA games. No one knew who he was. And then the other 3 or 4 NBA players were very, in comparison, amateur. To say, like, there's a lot of in-game dunks, a lot of mistakes, and this guy on the first try was complete dynamite. Uh, Imagine if there was another. I hate to do this to Mac McClung; he was excellent, but another star in there to really light it up. Like the crowd's reactions aren't there, the announcers' energy's not there. The judges are overscoring to try and make it close, even though the dunks aren't that great.
So a couple of thoughts here, right? So before you proposed this topic, I was gonna do a short on how social media and LeBron James have ruined the dunk contest as a premier event. Okay, just hear me out. Hear me out. I've had this conversation many times over the years. So it used to be the dunk contest was almost like a rite of passage if you're a star in this league. Okay, if you're a star that can dunk, I don't want to see Dame Lillard and Steph Curry out there. But throughout the years, you look at the guys that have participated. Not all of them obviously are top tier stars, but names like obviously Michael Jordan did it early in his career, Kobe, Paul George, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, etc. There's so many names of guys that maybe not when they reach like their peak in their mid to late 20s, they're still doing it, but it was almost like a rite of passage. And we expected, I think a whole generation of NBA fans expected LeBron to do the dunk contest too. But for whatever reason, he decided that I'm just not going to do it. He's never done it. He's been in the league for 20 years. He's been the best player in the league for, I don't know, maybe 10 of those 20 years. He's been the biggest star in the league for maybe 15 of those years, and he's never done it. And I think part of that is he doesn't want the potential ridicule if he doesn't win or if he doesn't perform well. And then to that same idea, social media in general has ruined it for these guys because you have a guy like John Morant who might be the best in-game dunker in the league and is a very recognizable name. He's a legitimate superstar in the NBA, and he's not doing the dunk contest. Why not? Because is he scared of the ridicule that's going to come with it? Is he trying to be too cool because he's following the example that LeBron set? I mean, I don't know. Am I blind with my LeBron hate? I know we just did a tribute to him breaking the Kareem record, so I am fair and balanced. But am I crazy here for saying that?
This is a recurring question on this episode. Am I crazy here? Because it sounds pretty. LeBron James should have done the dunk contest by now. And I mean, there's at least one time, I don't know if he's done it more than once, where he's grabbed a microphone at the dunk contest and said, "I will be participating in next season's dunk contest," which adds to like the list of this Twitter gag about how he's just a massive liar about certain things. This one being near the top of the list where he says he's going to do it. And yeah, he's never. I don't think he's ever come out right and said why he hasn't done it. I think Stephen A. Smith after the dunk contest blamed LeBron James and his lack of effort for why that no one wants to be in the dunk contest anymore.
Yeah, so I'm definitely not the only one, right? And we can say, oh, it's not up to LeBron, it's not whatever. Like these other guys can do whatever they want, the John Morants, the Zions, the Giannis's, whatever. But I mean, if you're the face of the league and you're essentially saying I'm too good for this or I'm too cool for this, then other guys are going to follow your lead. So yeah, I think it's fair to lay the blame at his feet to some degree, of course.
Why don't they bring back that one stupid one where they did like three guys on one team and they're all just dunking, and it was like Harrison Barnes was out there doing in-game reverse dunks. They were sitting on the trunk of a Kia or something. I'm like, what is this bullshit?
I think was it Blake Griffin that dunked over like a Kia Rio or something?
Yeah, yeah.
It
I
was
mean,
some kind of
that's a star, right? That's like a big star that did it. Giannis has done it. Andre Iguodala, Anton Jameson, like a lot of high flyers have done it, and put some serious, swag on these dunks. And these, it's not just like a discredit to these guys, but when it feels like there's no more good ideas, you just need stars to bring it back to life. That's the end of the game. That's the name of the game, right? Stars.
exactly. But it also used to be there used to be more theatrics, right? Do you remember that year where Dwight Howard put on the Superman cape and blew out the candle on the cupcake, at the top of the key?
Yeah.
And then I think later in the round, Nate Robinson came out with his green Knicks jersey and a green basketball symbolizing kryptonite, and I'm gonna beat Superman with this kryptonite ball. Like there was theatrics, there was like some real thought that went into it, and it didn't feel forced. And aside from this year, which I think the dunk contest was great, but in the past couple years, it's all been theatrics, and it's all been super forced, and it just hasn't been that good.
Yeah. And I think what it's going to take is stars. And the next part of this comment that I have kind of translates into the main event itself, the Sunday game. And Shea Gilgis Alexander was asked after the game about effort. And he's like, put some money up. There needs to be more of a financial incentive for this to be worth it. So I couldn't think of a better solution for the dunk contest other than, look, if you join this, we'll give you like $5 million. Like that's all I could think of as a reason to join. There isn't really any other benefit to doing it if you're a star and you're worried about getting embarrassed. Is, well, you got like a healthy chunk of change, and if you win, you get like a winning bonus as well, like boxing or something.
I'm totally down for that, but if you're making, I don't know, $30 million a year, SGA is making $34 million this year. How much money is it going to take for him to try hard? Like I don't get that comment.
What else are you supposed to give these guys? Like PTO? What are you supposed to give them? Like a ping pong table in the break room? I don't know what. I work in Silicon Valley. I don't really like if it's not money or an extra perk. Giving away a private jet. What are you supposed to do for these guys to get them out there dunking a basketball on a Saturday night?
I mean, I don't know how you fix the game itself, but I think the dunk contest, the idea is that it's not super established stars that are going to be doing this. And this is a way to improve your marketability, right? If you're John Morant, you're already a star, but you're like a second tier star, right? A lot of kids like you, but you're kind of a household name, but you're still on your first contract. So winning that dunk contest or even going out and showing out is a big deal for your brand, right? You think about Kobe and Paul George, T Mac, all these guys, they did it on their way up. And it was like, oh, here, let me build my brand by going in this dunk contest and potentially winning it. So I think guys of that ilk, like the first 3-4 years in the league, those are the guys that you want to target. Like I get it, Zion's been hurt, but again, why isn't John Morant in there? Why isn't, I don't know, who are some of the other like second tier stars? Why hasn't Giannis ever
He's
done
done
it?
it. I think he's done
Guys
it.
like
I
that.
think Giannis has done it, but he might have been mixed in with that Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon one. He might have been dunking during that one.
I could be. It's very possible that
I
I'm
just
wrong.
remember seeing his
I just
arm
don't
stretch
remember him
back to
doing
half
it.
court and then dunk the ball. I just remember him doing that.
Yeah, he did the Space Jam.
Yeah.
He dunks from half court. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't know. I can't think of anything besides throw money at it. Throw money at a problem to make it go away. Um,
I mean, the dunk contest, sure,
that
throw a couple mil up,
that's what I'm
and then a
talking
guy
about.
like
The dunk
Ja.
contest. I know Shea with Gilgis Alexander was talking about the game, but I'm using that as a like let's pay these guys to want to do the dunk contest. And you know what's kind of crazy though is like to use Mac McClung as an example, like he has less than 1% brand awareness as a player, right? John Morant is on the complete opposite spectrum. Like as a second pick, his brand awareness is through the roof from day one. The second he does one big in-game dunk, Bleacher Report's got fire emojis rattling off on their Twitter account. Oh my God, poster! And then that's it. Like he doesn't want to do it anymore. That's the end of it.
So I mean, I think if you throw some money at him, he's making 12 million this year. Maybe he's he sees some incentive in it. So yeah, I think the money for the dunk contest, yeah, I'm good with that. But the All Star game, I don't know if that the money
You know, I
fixes anything.
wonder though. I know that a lot of this is for charity. Most of All Star Weekend is done for charity, um, and NBA players in the CBA do get bonuses if they make like All NBA or if they're named as an All Star. I think you get some sort of bonus or kicker for doing that. So I wonder if there's any I don't know contractual contradictions or conflicts for pay. Maybe they just have to change it in the next CBA to pay a guy for being invited to the dunk contest. I don't know.
I'm down. Whatever it takes
Do
to get
it.
these guys.
Do the deal.
Yeah, do it. I want to be able to. Every time I look at the dunk contest, the last couple of years, it's been who is that? And then you have to look him up. Like you shouldn't have to look up the participants in the dunk contest.
I play NBA fantasy and I still don't know who Jericho Sims was.
I'm with you. I think most of America's with you on that one.
All right, dunk contest forever a question mark until further notice. So before I think about like the big picture thing, talking about the Sunday game, I know that it's very true. In the past, it was super competitive and it's diluted in quality every year. And then they're like, "Well, we need to do something about this." So they did the Elam ending thing, and I think the first year or 2 years they did it, it was really exciting, and guys really went for it at the end. And then you watch this weekend, and they didn't really give much of a shit about the game or the Elam ending or anything. It looked like a layup line more than it ever has. Um, so I'm thinking that this All Star game format doesn't work anymore. I think that they just have to change it completely.
Mhm.
And here's what I'll propose one, and I'm also going to shoot it down right after proposing it as to why it won't work. And that's one on one. That would be unbelievable. I would pay for that. I would do like a pay per view for a one on one if you have like KD against LeBron one on one. You know what I mean? Like you could just build any of these guys. John Morant against I don't know Shea Gilgeous out. We've been talking about those two a lot. They're the future of the league. Anyway, like I would pay money for that. But here's why you will never see a one on one is if a guy beats another guy, he'll just sit there and go, "Well, I'm better than him. Oh, he's better than me. He beat me." I just don't think that from this is all about egos, to be honest. I just don't think anyone will stomach that or want to have to deal with what happens if they lose to another guy one on one.
The same reason that guys are turning down the dunk contest is the same reason why we'll never see a one on one. Like there's these guys, even with their like training clips, even with the clips of them working out on Instagram, those are like perfectly curated. They're playing against 5'8" like trainers at 24-hour fitness or LA Fitness or whatever. They never miss a shot, and everything just has to be again perfectly curated. If you remember a couple years ago, Devin Booker being upset at people throwing doubles at him in a pickup game. So I can only imagine. I mean, that's kind of ego driven of like, hey, I just want to work on my game. Stop doubling me, making me look bad on this Instagram reel. So I can only imagine if again it's Ja versus SGA or whatever, and somebody gets their ankles broken or gets dunked on, and it's a meme. And so there's no way they'll do that. So yeah, I'm with you in shooting it down as soon as we presented it. It'd be awesome, but yeah, it's not working
Very
anymore.
unfortunate. Rest in peace to the concept of one on one. Next idea would be a 3-on-3 half court tournament. So 24 guys are selected for the All Star break, if I'm not mistaken. It's 10 the 10 starters and then 14 total reserves. So you have 8 teams of 3, and they figure out the logistics. Play up to 11, play up to 21, knockout format. Do this. Figure out a way to do the seeding, randomize it, whatever the case may be, and you just got these 8 teams of 3 in a tournament that'll take like I don't know 3 hours.
I'm down. I like that. The Rising Stars did something similar where they did, I mean, it was a full court game, but it was, I believe, 3 or 4 teams. And they split them all up and they basically played like king of the court up to 21 or 24. So it was untimed, just, the shot clock, obviously. And it was great because you always get a game winner, just like the Elam ending. Um, so I'm down for 3-on-3. I don't know if you've watched 3-on-3 at the Olympics. It's a good time. It's fun. It's fast paced. It's exciting. It's different. I think it would be cool. You get to maybe like we could still have a draft style, and you could see guys going for let me get 3 bigs or let me get 3 guards, and just have style versus style. So I'm down for that innovation. I think people would go for that,
And you could
especially because we're not doing conferences anymore. It doesn't matter about the conferences.
yeah, you do the billing and it's like Luca, Giannis, and Jason Tatum. Like who the hell wouldn't want to see that against LeBron, Durant, and Curry? Like who this is exactly what basketball needs. It becomes about the basketball. It's a showcase to celebrate the NBA, and that's fine. But you do this little extra thing, and it gives people more of a reason to watch, and maybe the players will give a little bit more of a shit if they're not playing 5-on-5.
I mean, I think even this year it was the more about the lack of premier star power that was off the court. I think the past couple of years, because the Elam ending 2020 was the best it's ever been, or the All Star game, at least in my memory, because I think that people were trying to honor Kobe, and it was just a month after he passed, so it was very emotional. They were wearing 24, and the other team was wearing 2, so it was like we can't dishonor the memory of Kobe, who was famously the hardest working guy in the league by and the most competitive guy in the league by not taking this seriously. And I think this year that kind of went away a little bit, but it was also the fact that LeBron didn't play the second half. Giannis played 30 seconds because he's hurt. KD wasn't out there. Curry wasn't out there. So the 4 biggest names, the 4 best players in the league weren't out there. So you kind of had, again, these like second tier stars: Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Damian Lillard. Sure, he's great, but none of these guys are that elite echelon of star. And I think that took away from the effort aspect of it, because these guys at that point were just like, oh, like, the cat's away, the mice will play. Let's just do whatever we want.
Yeah, that's a good point about the lack of star power. Um, but it is interesting that the basketball also, for whatever reason, still didn't turn out to be as thrilling as it could have been, even if a few guys weren't there. Those are all amazing players. That's what I think ends up being a little disappointing. Uh, that's all I have on that game itself. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think people maybe look for too much out of this game. I don't agree with incentivizing it financially. Again, SGA and guys like that, you guys, just about everybody in that All Star game, with the exception of like, I don't know, Laurie Markkinen, is making 20, 30, $40 million a year. If you put like $1 million prize up, it's like, okay, there's no point. I'll try a little bit harder maybe, but I don't think it's going to change the effect of the game. And I think this particular one, it just happened to be a blowout early on. So by the time the Elam ending rolled around, it wasn't competitive anyway. So I think just keep sticking with the Elam ending, and I think you'll be okay. Or maybe go, if you don't want to go as extreme as a 3-on-3 tournament, you could do, 3 teams or 4 teams and just play, king of the court or some kind of round robin style tournament with an untimed game. So up to like 21 or whatever. So I'm down with that.
Yeah, like if you want to save All Star Weekend and really bring eyeballs to it, because it's in the middle of the season, right? Like the Pro Bowl's at the end, it's kind of thrown in there like, hey, there's only one more Sunday of football left. Watch this, right? And if you want, and the big game is next week. This is like an opportunity for to really showcase like here's what's so great about this sport. Here's all of the like what makes the NBA different than the NFL. The athletes are more marketable because they don't wear helmets. They have really cool shoes, popular shoes, which is a different economy in its own. But their personalities, all of that, like they're more popular than football athletes. I know the size of a football roster is quite a bit more, but nonetheless, like it's kind of like soccer, right? Like soccer players are incredibly popular because you can see them and they have a swagger to them when you see them play. There's just so much opportunity to make this thing because no one else really does it this kind of way to make it more special than it is right now.
I think all star events in general are kind of a dying breed. I think I sound like the old guy, but it's like there's so many other options, so many other entertainment options, so many other things to do and consume and play and whatever. It's like if there's nothing at stake, then what's the point? Sure, it's fun, but if anything cool happens, if I'm thinking like if I put myself in the shoes of somebody that's 18, 19, 20 years old, it's like if something cool happens in this 2 or 3 hour all-star game, I'll see it on TikTok. I'll see it on Twitter. So why am I going to sit there and do it? I think even the NFL they tried to make it more relevant by having it before the Super Bowl, but I think it was better off after the Super Bowl being like a celebration of the winners. Because if you remember, nowadays it's like, oh, you're going to the Super Bowl, you're Pat Mahomes, you're Joe Burrow, whatever, Jalen Hurts, you can't go to the Pro Bowl, so we're gonna name an alternate. But it used to be, it's a week after the Super Bowl, it's in Hawaii, bring your family. This is like a coronation for the winners, and I think with the NBA, obviously, like you said, it's mid-season, so you have more of an opportunity to market these guys. People know these dudes like down to the tattoos. That's how closely these people follow their favorite players. So I think there's an opportunity here, but I don't think it's necessarily about fixing it. Maybe there's some ways to make it more competitive, but I mean, I don't want to kind of shit on everything we talked about for the last hour, but like at this point, it kind of is what it is, right? It's a celebration of their athleticism. It's a celebration of their star power, and it's a chance for these guys to market themselves in new ways by winning the dunk contest or winning the slam dunk contest or something. But I think it's more of just like a celebration. Like let's all just get together and watch these guys do really cool things that we could only dream of doing.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue into these big picture ideas I have. One of them I do not favor at all, but I have it in there just as a like here's what could happen to this thing, right? If you make the here's number one, and I don't like it. You make the All Star Weekend at the end of the season, like kind of like the Pro Bowl. It feels less consequential, and I think that if you do it like that, there's further dilution like the Pro Bowl, and there could be even more of a don't give a shit factor than there is right now. So I think moving it later, I don't think it does anything. Keeping it this time of year is fine. And I say all that to segue into the idea that I actually want. I went to business school. I like the idea of blowing things up and trying something else. So here's what I think.
You're going to disrupt it.
Yes,
To use the Silicon Valley word, you're going to disrupt the
disruption,
All Star
overused.
Weekend industry.
Disruption. Everything is disruption here. It's very overused. Um, Look, if money talking is what guys need, okay, scrap the entire All Star Weekend. Use this time that is moved aside for this little vacation, and no one wants to dunk, and no one wants to run, and no one wants to shoot. Get it out of here, and insert a 2 to 3 week mid-season tournament. I know they've talked about this before. Here's where it should go. If anyone's ever wondered where it should go, do it here during the All Star break. Take the top 8 teams, regardless of conference. I know now, like you get 1 seed versus 8, and it's a complete mismatch. You just get the 8 best teams, and it's a World Cup knockout stage format. No groups. You just play every 3 days, and winner goes on, loser goes home. Just like a quarterfinal format, and there's a huge financial incentive to do it. There's more incentive during the regular season to qualify the top 4 from each conference, and you get what is the golden goose of Europe, right? You get the Champions League quarterfinal in the middle of the NBA season. Who the hell wouldn't want to see that? That sounds fucking awesome, right? Are you ready to buy it now?
Okay, I'm totally ready to buy in with the idea, but I also don't want to just nod along with you like we have for everything else. I think we've agreed just about on every other idea. But I want to ask. I mean, I think there's a number of logistical challenges that present themselves at this point, and aside from that, what is the reward for it? Is it just going to be a financial incentive? Is there Do you jump up in the standings? Is a I don't know, I think Bill Simmons, when his idea was like, if you win one of these games, it counts as like, I don't know, a game and a half in the real standings. But what do you think?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm sure. I mean, if that becomes a bigger incentive and you want to avoid the play-in, given that the play-in stays with this inserted, I think that's fine. I don't think there's, as long as you can get the teams to agree, because everyone complains about the number of games played, and there are a few of those things that have to be sorted out. If you win another tournament that's not the NBA Finals, there should be some sort of financial incentive for sure. And I think every owner would say yes to that. The revenue would be incredible. The sponsorship dollars would be incredible. You would need a big sponsorship or TV deal to make this work. I would imagine there would be a nice bidding war of some kind for rights to this. I agree. There's a lot of things I don't have here that I haven't thought through that need to be thought through by someone that in charge. But this is what I want. I don't even. I'm blind to any other option. This midseason tournament should be here.
Let me throw this idea at you. So instead of it being one tournament of the top eight, what if we do three tournaments with the top 10, bottom, middle 10, and the bottom 10, kind of like the Champions League, Europa League, and then the, I don't know, Europa Conference League, I think it's called. And then we have three tournaments. So I think one of my concerns would be you're rewarding a team. So say you're a team that's currently, I don't know, a 7 or 8 seed. You're like, hey, we get 2 weeks off. We get to relax and put our feet up and recuperate and recover from injury, and then come back and finish strong for the rest of the year. So maybe that's one less challenge, is if you have all 30 teams playing instead of only 8, but in 3 different tournaments. So it's a little more exciting, because if there's a talent level is a little closer, then you'll have closer games, more competitive games. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Um, that way, I did think about that, and I kind of looked at it as like all the other garbage ass teams can sit at home. The rest of you, the other 22, and go to hell. But I do see that maybe some of the players, right, might be like, well, that guy got 3 weeks off. He didn't play at all. I could see that. Yeah, maybe you do like the top eight or whatever it is, and then you do another 10, 12, and maybe the two tournaments. Because I don't know if you need three. What's the three supposed to be like? The lottery teams play each other? Like, I don't know if it should be like that, but maybe you randomize based on ranking
So I think
matchups.
what that does is it helps the owners, right? So I'm assuming you're going to take away, I don't know, 10 regular season games in order to fit this in.
Yeah, you
So
have to. Yeah.
10 regular season games means 5 games of revenue for these owners. So if you're in the bottom 10 or bottom 16 or whatever, you're going to be, if you're an owner, you're not going to be okay with this, because you're going to miss out on that revenue. So maybe that's why. That's really the only reason that you would have all 30 teams involved in some way. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that works. I think that works. Maybe in the beginning, some of these teams get an extra game, but knockout format, I think, should be the way to go, just to speed things up because you have so many teams competing. I don't think there's enough time for groups and to play every. Well, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't rule that out because the World Cup they play every few days, and they seem to figure that out with I don't know 50 teams. It seems like the World Cup is really big now. Uh, so yeah, let's do it. Three, two, three total tournaments. The main one is called the NBA Gauntlet. I have a name for it now. It's called the Gauntlet. You are throwing down the gauntlet and fighting to the death. And then you have the NBA, like I don't know, the ball pit, and then the other one is like the daycare. I don't know. You figure something out. But I think the All Star Weekend thing, it's cute, but there's some more ways to make this really badass and I don't want to elevate the appeal of the game. Ratings are down. I feel like we love dynasties as a country. Like we want that. We don't want too many new champions. We do love the idea of the same group competing or winning. It's why the Lakers and the Celtics and the Warriors and Miami and all these like dynasties that like we that drives ratings. In the event that that's not the case, you have to have this midseason tournament to make people continue to want to watch the game.
I like I said, I completely agree with you. I just didn't want to just nod along with you, like every other idea we've had today. Um, yeah, I think part of that will also it makes part of the regular season more exciting, gets more eyes, and it makes the NBA a little bit more marketable. I think there's going to be a lot of logistical challenges and cultural challenges in convincing the casual NBA fan to tune in. But I think a single elimination tournament or something along those lines is going to be the most exciting thing we've seen. Because I mean, as a very very casual college basketball fan, I couldn't even tell you who the best team in college basketball is. I'm still going to try and watch just about every single game of March Madness that I can because it's an incredibly exciting product. At the end of the day, no matter who's in it, I have no emotional attachment to any of these players, any of these schools, but I know some crazy stuff's going to happen, so I will watch it. So if you imagine that, along with the emotional attachment that you have to some teams or some players in the NBA, I think it's definitely an incredibly marketable and profitable idea. But I do think there's going to be a lot of pushback, both from the players, the owners, and then just the NBA culture in general of being resistant to new ideas.
I think the key thing is here is just get over yourselves. If the 19-year-olds could do it that are chemistry majors and they're just bricking shots for 3 hours, get the pros up there, give them the money they want, get the sponsorship dollars, and make it work. This is going to be the best way to grow the game. I think the All Star game is cute, like I said, uh, but because of the NBA's similarity to the world game, this is just a huge opportunity. I think that um, the league could use some innovation. It has that. Did you see Adam Silver take Ahmad Rashad and put him in Taylor Horton Tucker in that demo? Did you see that?
I did, yeah, the NBA app, which I was not all that impressed by. I
I
thought it
thought
was.
that you weren't impressed. Oh, you because you. I can't say why in particular due to your profession why you might see that to be not that cool. But that was pretty cool, man. Like it's a little corny, but the NBA just has a lot of room for these ideas.
It's just funny that they used resources and research and money to put this out there when their league pass app sucks, and people are watching fewer regular season games than ever before. So I don't know, why is this a focus? Why is this something? I think it's like a passing fancy. You probably do it a couple times when you download the NBA app, and that's about it. I don't think it's going to be
Yeah, yeah.
a regular
I
thing.
I, I want to see my stomach on Giannis's body run down the court and barrel through three guys and get an and one. That's really all I want.
Yeah, and you'll send it to your cousins or your buddies a couple times and show it to your wife. And be like, hey, check this out, baby, and then she'll look at you like you're crazy, and then that's it. I think that's the lifespan of this particular gimmick.
We'll never get enough satisfaction. No one cares about us. All right. Fair enough. I think we fixed the All Star game by getting rid of it. Seems to be the conclusion here, and making more money seems to be the best idea. The dunk contest has not been solved because no one wants to do it. So we're just going to get rid of it all, and everyone's going to play more meaningful basketball for more money, because that's what makes the most sense. Am I right?
Yes, and you know how they're going to fix it. I think LeBron is going to do it next year
No,
in
he's not.
his final season. Maybe not next year or whenever he decides to retire. I just have the feeling the guy loves the spotlight, and he loves all eyes on him. And I think whatever his final year is, which he will definitely announce it beforehand because he wants to get the victory tour, the retirement tour, the Kobe retirement tour. And I think that's when he'll do the dunk contest, and I think he'll lift the stigma that some of these guys have around doing it. Am I crazy? I'm asking one last time.
You're out of your mind. You're insane.
I want to see. I don't care how old he is. I want to see 40-year-old LeBron in the dunk contest for once, please. We
That's
deserve it.
what we've been longing for, a 40-year-old man trying to jump further than he he can't jump the same way, but we want to see him do it so that some of these 21-year-olds say, "Okay, fine, I'll do it."
Yeah, if LeBron's not cool enough for it, then neither are you, SGA or John Morant or Jason Tatum or Jalen Brown. Why wasn't Jason Tatum in this ever? Why wasn't Jalen Brown ever in the dunk contest? This is
They
nonsense.
weren't.
Why wasn't Ben? Why
Harrison
wasn't
Barnes
Ben
was in it.
Simmons in it? Yeah, Harrison Barnes. Okay, great. The Black Falcon was in it once upon a time. Last year we had Juan Toscano Anderson. I guarantee you walk into any building that's not Chase Center and you ask every single fan in the building, do you know who Juan Toscano Anderson is? And none of them will say yes. Maybe one or two out of 20,000 people. And it's not their fault. And even this year, I mean, Mac McClung, for people that are of the internet and on social media, they've been seeing this guy dunk since he was in high school because he's a viral sensation. But I couldn't tell you anything else about him, you know? So I'm saying, LeBron, come do it, lift the stigma, and I think we'll be back on track.
Yeah. Well, there should be a betting. There should be some odds opening up for that. There should be my plus 3,000 on LeBron joining the dunk contest next season. DraftKings. Here's a free DraftKings ad. Go there now to bet your own hard earned dollars on LeBron James of all people joining the dunk contest next season.
Book it now. You won't be sorry.
I'm just excited for the gauntlet to be a thing. I hope someone sends this idea over to Adam Silver
You
as a
know he's cooking it up.
delusional.
I think he's talked about it. I think they're cooking it up. So we'll see it happen one of
Okay,
these days, eventually.
good, 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 good. All right, more enough meandering and self admiration of this idea. We appreciate you for listening, Khaled. Thank you for joining. Even though you're sick, I appreciate it, and we'll be back again soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.